I liken object permanence to curiosity permanence. How is curiosity permanence relevant to your ability to win business? Good question. I love your curiosity. When I ask most people how old they think other folks are when curiosity diminishes, most people say, later in life, I'm still curious, and they gasp when I say between ages 4 and 5. If curiosity diminishes younger than we think, that has to do with object permanence. We stop studying and learning. We stop exploring with questions. That's why I say to you guys, you're more curious than you think you are. You've just stopped exploring. Like, for example, why do so many salespeople subconsciously think they know what the prospect's going to say next? Or they already know what the solution is without fully exploring with questions. You know what your mission is on a sales call? Your mission is to get somebody to look up and to the left and go, I didn't see it that way. Only the constant asking of questions will lead to that moment of buy-in. And I promise you buy-in occurs at this moment. So what if your superpower or your unfair advantage became an ability to enter a state of curiosity? I set all of my first-time appointments for 2 hours. While doing so, I tell the buyer the reason for that is I am going to render myself in a childlike state of curiosity. Now, besides thinking that I'm an odd little man, which I actually want them to think, they always say, Tim, that makes sense. Let's go on a deep dive. It's actually my therapy to say I will render myself in a childlike state of curiosity. I owe it to the buyer to enter a state of curiosity permanence. In her book, Cracking the Curiosity Code, Diane Hamilton says there are 4 main reasons for diminished curiosity: fear, assumptions, technology, and environment. Fear, assumptions, technology, and environment. Let's take a look at the first one, fear. When I think of fear, I think of foals. Yikes, the ugly stuff. Anybody in here suffering from foals? The dreaded disease, fear of looking stupid? I have done 2,349 one-on-one 2-hour interviews with salespeople. One of the questions I always ask is, in grade school, they typically seat us in alphabetical order, but if you had your choice, where would you sit? Front, middle, or back? 68% of the time, people say the middle. When I ask why, they say, I don't know, I just wanted to blend in. That's fear of looking stupid. Will that manifest in your sales role later in life? You bet it will. Fear is real. Assumptions. Her assumptions are tied to object permanence. Once we think we know something, we stop asking questions. Folks, that's called mind reading. Mind reading is not allowed in sales. Her assumptions are also why David Sandler gave us this beautiful line of mutual mystification, the use of wishy-washy words. If you're a sales leader, you know the problem with mutual mystification. Have you ever had one of your reps come back from a meeting and you said, how did the meeting go? And they said, really, really good. We call that RRG, and it lacks evidence of anything. Curiosity means you can hear every word, syllable, and consonant, and you know exactly what to do with it. Here's an easy example of mutual mystification. Just give it a listen. The prospect says, Tim, we have a big problem with margin. What does the amateur do? They jump right into their pitch. But did you hear problem? Problem. Okay, but that's still not it. With the curious advantage, the curious salesperson calmly says, big. Did you hear the word big? 200 questions come from the word big. We assume we know what big is, and we fail to explore. Curiosity is exploration. You're an explorer. Next time somebody asks you what you do for a living, just look at them with a big smile and say, I am a curious explorer. Technology. The challenge we face with technology goes both ways, naughty and nice. Everybody's been talking about ChatGPT today. That might inhibit curiosity, but technology serves us well. But here's the thing, ultimately, in the moment curiosity is the skill in the moment salespeople need. And by the way, I'm not saying I wrote this with ChatGPT or anything. The environment. A survey called The Business Case for Curiosity, written by and conducted by Dr. Francesco Gino of the Harvard Business School. It says this, that of over 3,000 employees from a wide range of firms and industries, only about 24% reported feeling curious in their jobs. About 70% said they face barriers to asking questions. Barriers to asking questions? I struggle with that. So besides fear, assumptions, technology, and environment, are there other challenges to your curiosity? I mentioned sales diseases a little bit earlier. Let's add to that dreaded foes. And my friend Brian Kavicki, he just alluded to one biggie, HNA, high need for approval. Anybody in here got high need for approval? I do. Brian knows that about me. Will high need for approval limit the types of questions that you ask? Of course it will. The number of times my mommy went on a sales call with me on my shoulder, in my head, and said, Timmy, you be a good boy and don't ask all those questions. Mom, I'd like to make some money. But we don't. And the last sales disease, OCW, the worst of the worst. I don't know where it came from. One contact weakness. One contact weakness is when I look at your sales expense report and I see that you meet with the same person and take the same person to lunch every time you visit JCI, just checking in with a customer. How does one contact weakness add to the curiosity gap? Meeting with the same person over and over is a comfort zone issue. Your need to be in a comfort zone crushes curiosity about the hidden table. The hidden table where the real decision makers are. They're sitting, they're hiding, and they're scheming to get you to drop your price. The only way you get to them is through curiosity. You gotta count the votes. Who's for you? Who's against you? Don't give a presentation until you know that.
Thank you for watching this highlight video from the Sandler Summit. You can join us for the next Sandler Summit in 2024, March 19th and 20th at the Orlando World Center Marriott. Register now at sandler.com/summit.